Welcome to the second video of week 2. During this video, we're going to talk about cubic functions and graphing those cubic functions. So once again, we're going to talk about the parent function. So for a cubic, that's going to be y equals x cubed. Now, when we try to graph this, I'm first going to make a t-chart. I'm going to pick 0, a couple numbers above it, and a couple numbers below it. We can continue, but this is probably pretty good for now. I'm going to substitute these numbers into the x value and then cube them, which gives us the values of -8, -1, 0, 1, and 8. Now we're going to graph this. I'm going to ask again that you graph this by yourself to see it a little better. Ooh. Alright, so trying to go and graph these points. We have one at 0, 0, 1, 1, -1, -1, and then of course 2, 8, so it's going to be way up there, and -2, -8, so way at the bottom here as well. So for the 3 points that you see here, it looks like that they just connect in a straight line, and they don't. With those other values that are kind of off of the graph, this is what it's actually going to look like. So remember, there's a point way down there at the bottom. Whoa. Something like that. It almost looks like a snake per se. We can even try that again. Kind of starts to go up here, and then it levels off, and then it kind of almost changes direction. So that's what all of our graphs are going to look like. Now they could be more scrunched to look more like that, or anything else. All right, so example 1. We are going to graph this equation, this cubic. Now, when we were dealing with our quadratic in the vertex form, this is going to be very similar. Now, the center of our graph is written right here in this equation. If you remember, those 3 points we had, 0, 0 was that center point right there, kind of where it almost changed the graph's intention, its direction. And that point is going to be with this 2 and 3. Just like in vertex form for the quadratic, the first number here is going to be opposite of what you see. So the center in this case will be -2, +3. So that is your first point that you're going to graph. So we're going to make a t-chart here. And we know one point is -2, 3. We're going to pick a couple points above it, well, a couple points larger, and a couple points that are smaller. Substitute those values into the equation. So if I start with 0 and add 2 and cube it, that's 8, and add that final 3 to be 11. If we do that with all 5 of these points here, these are the values that we get. You need to graph those points and connect it with the line that looks very similar to that. And the -2, 3 is going to be that center point. So that's a good quick check for you guys to make sure that you are graphing correctly. Now for example 2, we're going to write the equation. Now, I know on your assignment they're going to be giving you a graph, and it's going to have the center labeled and another point labeled as well. Here, I'm just going to tell you that your center point is -3, -5. And then just another point on our graph is -5, 11. What we're going to do with this information is substitute that into our form here. So I'm going to have to erase this. So make sure you have these numbers written down. Now, remember the h and the k, very much like the vertex of a parabola, is going to be the center of this cubic function. So we know that center is -3, -5. So we know it's going to be x minus a -3. So we're really going to add that. And the k is a -5 there. So this is going to be our equation. Now we really need to find out what the value of a is. We don't want that there. In our final equation, we just want y and x left. So what do? Well, the question also gave us a point, which is x and y. So we're going to substitute values in for x and y. The x value was -5. And the y value was 11. Not only did we substitute the center, we substituted the point that was given as well. Now it's an equation that you can just solve for a. So I'm going to add 5 to the other side, which will be 16 equals a times something cubed. And that something's going to be a -2. When we cube that, that's going to be -8. And the final answer for a will be -2. Now for our final answer on this question for writing our equation, we need to substitute the center and then the a value we just found. So this is your equation.